Hi, I'm Quinn Thomas, the PI of the Ecological Forecasting Initiative Resource Coordination Network. And we're really excited to welcome you here to explore the educational materials and think about what is needed to empower the current and future generation of ecological forecasters. On behalf of the Ecological Forecasting Initiative Resource Coordination Network Steering Committee, we really welcome you here. We've been working hard over the past 2 years on this network, particularly in the last months, to get ready for this meeting. And we're really excited to hear what your thoughts, what you want, and what we can collectively produce in terms of educational resources to support the community. And so the big context here is that decisions are being made in the context of a rapidly changing environment. Our goal is to use ecological forecasting to help support decision makers, to help take the pathways necessary to achieve the environment that we desire of the future. And to do this requires predicting nature like we predict weather. The weather forecasting community and the weather forecasts are deeply ingrained in society's decision making. And we want to really move ecology in that direction. And we view forecasting as a win-win. The idea that by forecasting repeatedly, we can do this with different modeling approaches, different underlying hypotheses, that because it's done at a near-term basis, we can use that to rapidly test quantitative hypotheses and gain an understanding of how the world works. Simultaneously, those forecasts can be used to support decisions. And so as a community, what we need are more forecasts from a diversity of perspectives and approaches that engage more partners. And that allows us to discover what is predictable in nature and what predictions are most beneficial for society. In the context of this, the Ecological Forecasting Initiative was launched in 2019. That's a grassroots consortium aimed at building the community of practice around near-term, that is day-to-decadal ecological forecasts, and that span ecological systems and scale. At the same time, the National Ecological Observatory Network, the build-out has been completed, and now there's data coming in across terrestrial and freshwater systems that are freely available to users to really tackle questions across ecological systems and scales. And so the Resource Coordination Network is really focused on pulling together these groups and building a larger community around forecasting using NEON data. And so our goal is to create a community of practice that builds this capacity by leveraging NEON data products. And this is a 5-year NSF-funded effort that really will grow the community by having a focal point of NEON data products. And our central kind of focal point, our practical touch point for this network is the NEON Ecological Forecasting Challenge. And what that is it's a challenge to the community to forecast NEON data before it is collected. And what we mean by a challenge is a set of common protocol standards, criteria, where folks from all different models, techniques, career stages can contribute forecasts that will be intercomparable across all domains of ecology, and then ultimately evaluated to understand what is predictable in nature and what techniques, tools do better than others or have different strengths than others. And so the forecasting challenge has, was really launched over the past year. And it started with our May 2020 virtual meeting that really asked the community, what are they looking for in a forecasting challenge? What things do they want to forecast? What do we need to consider? And that led to a set of working groups focused on designing each of the themes, the data products that are being forecasted, the rules for doing that, the sites to choose, things like that. The cyber infrastructure design team to build out the automation for submissions and scoring of forecasts, the standards for deciding how and thinking about how file formats and metadata so that forecasts are intercomparable, and finally the partnerships, thinking about who can use the forecasts, both the directly use the forecast, but also the tools that are developed, the techniques, and the building out of the workforce. And finally, this led to the fall 2020 official launch. And the beta round, or the first year of the Ecological Forecasting Challenge, is running right now. And in total, over 200 people have been involved in planning, and over 50 teams have registered to submit. And 3 graduate courses at different universities have been taught based on the challenge. And so what this common forecast protocols across ecological systems and scales covers five themes, ranging from aquatic to terrestrial, from population, community, and ecosystem scale questions and thematic areas. And these are forecasts up to 35 days in the future. But the Ecological Forecasting Challenge really is just a means to advance the broader objectives of the ecological forecasting community to help build this community of practice. And so by using the forecasting challenge as a focal point, and what is going to emerge is protocols and standards and best practices for forecasting, training opportunities, both educational tutorials to encourage participation in the challenge, but also the field of ecological forecasting, software tools to support the challenge in ecological forecasting, engaged federal partners and other agencies in the development and rollout and growth of the ecological forecasting community, and a foundational kind of data set or catalog of forecasts that can support basically the synthesis that's needed to highlight emergent patterns across forecasts to really answer that question of what's predictable in nature. And as I said, this is a 5-year research coordination network project, and we're in year 2. Year 1 was focused on designing the ecological forecasting challenge and setting the foundations for that, including the development of the standards. Year 2 is continuing this build out of supporting this challenge by thinking about what educational materials and training tutorials are really needed to empower folks to engage in the forecasting challenge and forecasting at large. And this includes thinking about inclusive pedagogy, which was a meeting we had earlier in June. Year 2 to year 3 include early career forecasting tutorial, which we already had the first one of those earlier in June, where the Ecological Forecasting Initiative student group ran a training session on how to engage and contribute to the ecological forecasting challenge. Year 3 is really thinking about what tools are needed to help folks better engage in forecasting based on the lessons learned from running the forecasting challenge for 2 years. And then years 4 is thinking about how can we better, now that we have this built out, how can we better now revisit it to engage agencies and decision-making organizations. And finally, year 5 is focused on synthesizing the contributions to the challenge that have occurred over the previous 4 years of the project. And so you can really see where this meeting fits into the trajectory of the Research Coordination Network. And we're super excited to have you here and to see what emerges as we build this community of practice in ecological forecasting.